This is going to be the most brutal match The Rock has ever been in. The dangerousest match The Rock has ever been in. The Hell in a Cell. And it doesn't matter, Kevin Kelly, what you call it. Whether it's called a Hell in a Cell, a Rage in a Cage, Penis in Uranus, the only thing that matters. I do feel that Vice President Biden and Senator Harris are the best choice to lead our country, and I am endorsing them to become president and vice president of our United States.
All right. Well, I think we got to open today with probably the biggest breaking news of the past week, and that is, John. And you know this guy doesn't need any introduction to you, but
but we got to enter. If you smell,
keep going, let it roll.
What The Rock is cooking. And then boom, his music hits.
Oh, okay, that's it. All right. Yeah, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, baby. If y'all didn't see, I think he made his first endorsement ever.
Ever.
Is that right?
Ever. Never endorsed a
Never endorsed. Who did he endorse? It was Joe Jorgensen, the Libertarian candidate, of course.
Yep.
No, Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, man. But yeah, no, The Rock, man. Okay, so this is the one endorsement where I actually think it matters a little bit.
Yeah.
Because The Rock is universally loved. And that's not just me saying that, like polling has shown that.
Yeah, I shouldn't say when he was thinking, when people wanted him to run for the presidency and kind of put it out there. And I believe that he was thinking about it, but there were initial polls and he was polling way higher than I've ever seen a presidential candidate or potential candidate poll.
A legend indeed. And, you know, of the celebrities that could have run, wouldn't have been the worst one. Because
Nope.
I do think that we have the worst one in office right now, but
Yep.
That's neither here nor there. The Rock, though, do you think he's going to go on the campaign trail for him?
I don't think he goes there. I mean, to be fair, him and his family just got over COVID. So
that's right.
Yeah, so I'm assuming that he's going to be doing things virtually, but if he reminds people closer to the election who he wants, or even if he posts about it, it's going to be, I mean, that's massive.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, literally rock the vote. It'll finally matter.
Damn it, he is going to make so much money. He has an Under Armour contract, so he should just literally make those t-shirts.
Yeah, no shit, because like they're apparently very durable. Because did you see that fucking video? The dude is shit. Oh my god,
he looks like what you wish Legos would come like, so you could build up your Lego characters that way. That's what he looks like. He looks like he's fucking sculpted.
I mean, look. You can't look at that and say fake news. You can't look at that and say he doesn't have a point. You got to respect that. You got to respect that, like rock hard bod and rock hard Biden.
I have a rock action
on the rock.
I have a rock action figure right there. It's hanging on the wall. But
I'm glad that you pointed to it in the opposite direction that your camera is faced.
It is that. It's right there. Anyway, I pray. And I tweeted this, Chuck. You've seen this. I pray that Donald Trump talks shit on The Rock, because I don't know how big of a wrestling fan you were, Chuck, but back in the day, Dwayne Johnson, when he would drop a promo out of nowhere, he's the best at it, or at least one of the best, I'll argue. But if he calls Donald Trump a candy ass, I will lose it. Like, I will go to my local liquor store and I will buy every Terramana bottle of tequila that they have. That is my pledge. If he calls Trump a candy ass,
I'm hoping that he calls him that. That would be beautiful.
I'll buy it. I mean,
you can't respond to that. There's no response to that. You can say fake news. You can say he's a loser, but it's just objectively not true.
That's the thing here. This is the first person that you look at, and I dare you to call him a loser.
You look at his freaking biceps. There's nothing losing about that. No.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to know a real billionaire, he's probably pretty damn close.
Yeah, I'd say so. But speaking of real billionaires, maybe when we get enough patrons, we'll be there one day. But we do have some new patrons that we wanted to give a shout out to. How's that for a transition?
It was fantastic.
Nailed it.
Chuck, we got 3 new patrons that we need to announce because it's a big deal. First off, we got Kevin Gooding, who just happens to be related to one of our other patrons that we announced the last episode. So we're growing. Families love us. Yeah.
We are a family-oriented podcast.
Catherine, that's I believe his daughter. So we're pulling so high with families right now.
Yeah, I mean, huge through the roof.
We will soon be on ABC Family. That's not real. It doesn't even exist anymore. We also have Carrie. I don't want to say their last names, right?
No, just first.
I just said his last name though.
I'll just bleep it out.
Okay. And we have Carrie, and we also have Abby. They both recently joined, and we sent them all of their Appalachian stickers. So they are going to have so many new friends because people are going to see that sticker and think these people are geniuses.
Yeah, they're going to say these are very smart, very stable geniuses. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And if you have a sticker, you're listening to this, take a picture of it.
Yes.
And send it to us or post it on. No, don't send it to us. Rather, post it on social media and tag us in it so that other people can see. We've got some cool pictures in. One of them was on a fridge next to a magnet that said "Ass Man."
Love it.
Top that. That's your challenge. Top that.
Top it. That would be my new favorite game.
Yeah, I mean, I'm for it. But let's see. I mean,
you said but.
I am an ass man. Well, man, appreciate all the patrons. Really, really do appreciate that. That's awesome. Well, John, why don't you tell our listeners what we're going to be discussing today?
All right, we're going to go a little off the path that we normally take. Usually we take subjects and we're like, gung-ho, Appalachia, here we go. But we think that we can relate this topic back to our main subject. Plus, I mean, arguably, this will affect Appalachia. That's the presidential debate coming up tonight because we're recording this and it's going to be tomorrow that we release it. So it's going to happen tonight.
For clarity, we're recording this on Monday. Your show will be released on Tuesday.
I have no idea how to.
That's why I'm here. That's why I swoop in like a bird.
I'm the worst about talking about future stuff, like with us, because I'm like, it'll happen tomorrow or today.
I don't know. I can't tell you when you're listening to this.
Yeah, whenever you're listening. Anyway, it would happen on Tuesday of this week, and Chuck, I don't know if you know this. You haven't caught up with the news. This is a big presidential election.
What's the news? I don't read.
The news is this is a big presidential election.
Oh,
it's
that
a big
news.
deal.
Yeah, no, it's huge. It's well, they say that this is the most important election of our lifetimes. And every year I roll my eyes, but this year my eyes are staying put.
I said the same thing. This is the first year I have felt where I'm like, that is actually real. Like this is really the most important election of our lifetime.
Well, and to your point about making this about Appalachia, now you're gonna look at this podcast and you're gonna think, well, why are they doing this? There's all these other podcasts they talk about the debate, yada yada yada. But number one, we're gonna relate it back to Appalachia. But number two, and most importantly, you are in the presence. Your ears are. Your ears are anyway. Or if you're watching this video, your eyes are. A legendary debate champion, and no, I'm not talking about myself, although I had a good go at it at the College of Charleston back in 2012. But Big John Isner, debate champion extraordinaire, debate coach. I don't know what your accolades are, so I'll just let you tell the listeners what they are.
Too many to name. But a lot.
This is not a joke. This is not us joking.
This is not like I mean, I don't joke. I tell you the truth about my Martin Elementary basketball days, but this is even more serious.
Rocking those Rams.
This is even more serious than that. Chuck, I'm actually in a Hall of Fame for debate. That is a true story. I'm not making that up.
Which one?
Our high school. I am in the Hall of Fame there.
Parkersburg South does not have a Hall of Fame.
Yes, it does.
Well, this is the first I've heard of it.
I was inducted in 2015 because I couldn't go and give a speech because I was in law school.
Well, I will choose to believe you because the integrity of the show depends on it.
I swear, this is not a bullshit. This is
okay. All right, I believe you.
If there is one thing in this life that I am good at, it is arguing with others.
Well, that's true. That's true. And so we're going to be providing your expert analysis and I would say semi-pro analysis.
That's fair.
I think I actually would have won a couple rounds in that debate tournament had it not been for my partner at the time, but neither here nor there. But so, you're a champion debater. This debate, big debate, a lot hinging on it. Why don't you set the table first for us, John, and then we'll kind of get into the topics. I've already previewed the topics the moderator has, so we're going to tick through those in this show and kind of talk about what we think, our opinion on what needs to be said or what may be said and how it relates back to Appalachia. But John, set the table here. What are the stakes? What are the expectations going into this? Why is it important? Why do people give a shit? And will it matter?
Look, I think, again, this is one of those unique years where debates usually don't matter. They're usually one of those things that like everybody knows who they're going to vote for. And here there's a little bit of that, but literally the country is in the hands of these debates. If you can convince a person to swap either side, that's another vote in the direction of whatever way you want to take it. But again, they're so diametrically, as I use it, diametrically opposed, that it's going to be a bloodbath. That is the easiest way to put it.
Yeah. And one way to look at this too is I think there's probably a lot of people out there that are skeptical about people who are undecided, and there are a small sliver of the electorate that are undecided, but there's some people that are also wishy-washy, or they're looking for a reason to pull the trigger and support one candidate or the other, or not to support them. In politics, that's called a +2 if you get someone to flip sides for somebody else, but it's also called a +1 if you get somebody to just not support the candidate they used to support. So there's a lot on the line for this. And as we know, the 2016 election, I think, came down to roughly 70,000 votes split between like 3 states that Trump won: Pennsylvania, Michigan, and Wisconsin. So, you're talking about 70,000 votes. That's not a lot. And this race has been tight. I don't care what anybody says. We may wake up a week after the election, since it won't be after election night, but we may wake up and see that Biden wins in a landslide, or it may be Trump wins by a margin or whatever, but nobody knows. This race is tight, and I do think it'll be really interesting to see the two together.
Yeah, this is Biden's opportunity to prove that he's not "quote unquote" Sleepy Joe. If he comes out and he throws punches at Trump physically or mentally, whatever, then we could see a huge boost to his numbers, because right now, believe it or not, Donald Trump controls the narrative on that. And Donald Trump, we all know that he's not that far in age behind Joe Biden. They're both in their 70s. They're both sleepy. But Biden can come out and look the part of a president, which he hasn't done yet because everybody still views him as the vice president of the United States. This time he needs to rip that tag off and become the president.
Well, it's an opportunity for the American people to see a president acting presidential.
That's the other thing, yeah.
I think one other thing to point out just real quick is that I think you could see bigger audiences for this more so than any other debate, not just because it's Donald Trump and Joe Biden, and not just because I think more people are honed in on politics, I think, right now than ever before. ever because of just social media and everything, but also because of COVID. People are stuck in their homes. They're tuned to their TVs and whatnot. And I think like they're just hungry for information and looking for guidance. And so I think that alone could start to like sway people or assuade them that, yeah, Biden is the good choice. Or, yeah, maybe I do want to go with Trump or not go with Trump or what have you.
I think this is, I guess, my prediction. Debates, you talked about the people kind of in the middle who are maybe undecided or might flip. I think that this is actually the way for one of these people to control the extremists on their side. Because if you look at it right now, there are people who are extremists who don't think Trump is far enough right and they don't want to vote for him. They want to go third party, that might be even more extreme. And you have people on the left who think Biden is way too close to the middle and they may not show up to vote for him. But if he can control this debate or Trump control this debate, they may be able to convince their own party to show up more.
Yeah. Yeah. And it serves as a reminder for people too. Cause I mean, I think like you and I were hyper aware of politics. We listen to it. We follow it all the time. Probably, a good bit of people that listen to this show do, but the majority of people in this country do not. They hate it. They're turned off by it, and they may just be tuning in now. And so it can serve as a reminder if you're Joe Biden about what has happened the last 4 years, like all the different things that, there's a laundry list. I won't go through all of them, but if you're Trump, it could be your attempt to tell all the American people what you did, which I think in our opinion is not much and highly destructive, but we'll let you decide. But anyway, John, why don't we
if you don't like politics, let's get started.
Yeah, right. Well, don't worry about watching that debate because all you'll need to know is right here on this show. Why don't we get started? What are the topics that they're going to talk about?
Okay, so we'll go right down the topics, Chuck. We'll have open conversation about it. I wish we had a hotline. We'd have people call in, tell us what they think. We got to invest in that. That's what we got to find out.
You can actually do it on this platform.
Look, making waves. Let's go to the first topic that's listed. There are 6 topics in total. The first one, this is the most general topic, Chuck. This will be Trump and Biden's record. So anything on their records is fair game for this topic.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of Biden's long play side B. I do think that, it's playing some of the hits, but it's also got some of those indie wins that not many people think about.
Exactly.
Fuck that joke.
No, that was pretty. I liked it. I think it's fair. It's a good analogy.
I mean, it's not. It was making a joke about records.
But it just makes sense because he really does have a side A and side B.
Yeah, well, true. Yeah, so that's I mean, for Biden, that's 40, 50 years of policy making in DC. For Trump, it's the last 4.
Yeah, this is the reason this could affect Appalachians. Let's think about this real quick. What topic helped pull Donald Trump over? Energy.
Coal.
It was energy, right? Coal, natural gas, all of these things. He now has to answer for what he's actually done for these people because...
Well, and bringing back jobs, I guess, more broadly.
Right. But he has to talk about that if the moderator is going to actually go after it. So it creates an emphasis on Trump to actually, declare numbers, which, according to his taxes, he hates doing. But it also gives Biden the ability to continue to punch forward, but you're right. He's going to have to answer for all of the things and all of the votes that he's had in the past. He has far more of a number of targets than Donald Trump does.
Yeah. However, I think to his advantage is that he's we're in a time where I think government experience and political experience is actually a good thing because we're in the middle of a global pandemic that is not anywhere near being over and in fact is getting worse by the day. If I'm Biden, I run on that record. I say that, we managed several crises within the 8 years of the Obama White House swimmingly, despite what President Trump has said, especially about the Ebola crisis and was it swine flu? Yeah, swine flu.
Yeah.
And then the economic crisis. He's seen all of this before, and they managed it. And so I think that that's something that he's going to have to show for, but he's also going to have to show for, like, what is he going to do to help people that are struggling in the Rust Belt, where Trump won last time, make no mistake. A lot of people want to point to the Comey letter and all that other shit. And, like, yes, that had a role, but there was a lot of people in those areas that felt disaffected by the last 8 years. And especially in parts of Ohio, where you and I are very familiar with, parts of Michigan and Wisconsin, where Trump promised to bring the jobs back and he hasn't delivered. So what's Biden's message? He's going to have to figure that out, and he needs to base it off of his record.
And let's not forget, 2 of the major swing states, pretty much any election, are 2 Appalachian states, Pennsylvania, Ohio. This is going to be massive this year, especially because right now it looks like they're going to split those, with Biden taking Pennsylvania and Trump taking Ohio. But if you can convince one of these states to flip in your direction, I argue you win the election. It's that close. People want to talk 10 points for Biden. Nah, bullshit. It is that close that those 2 states could be a huge reason that, everybody talks about California, but California is literally almost negated by Texas, because Texas is going to go Republican. California is going to go blue. It's a lot of electorals both ways. These are the states that matter.
Yeah, in North Carolina, another Appalachian state that's a tipping point state, Georgia potentially as well.
What about South Carolina?
That could be interesting.
Jamie, if Jamie Harrison if he wins, maybe Biden pulls it too.
Who knows? I do think that, like, I think that the message that Joe Biden has and the record that he runs on can actually be really helpful for the Appalachian states, because you think, like, one of the ways that they're framing his campaign, which I think is really smart and is a perfect message, is Scranton versus Wall Street. And as we saw, with Trump's tax returns being leaked or being published by the New York Times, he's made all this money, lost all this money, only paid $750 in taxes. It's straight up Wall Street. He's cut taxes, which has benefited him, versus Joe, who, there's going to be some dings on his record. He's made a lot of money since leaving the vice presidency, but I think that his message has been that he is not like a different person. And I think that he's going to have to do a job of telling people that and of showing people that. And I think he can partially base that off of his record. But also, like, what he's planning on doing and leveraging based on his record. Your record's not just the policy views you pass, but it's your experience.
100%. Now I'm gonna play devil's advocate here, Chuck, because what's gonna happen when they talk about Joe Biden's record. Barack Obama's record comes with it.
Sure. So
anything that happens in that White House that maybe our friends on the conservative side didn't like is going to get brought up, and it's going to get hammered home. And that this is going to get brought into guns and everything like that.
Sure. But I think, like, with Biden, he's got to take it right back to, like, what's happening right now, which is we're in the middle of an economic crisis. We're in the middle of a health crisis. We're in the middle of a racial justice crisis. Those 3 things.
Yeah, and if he controls the narrative, you're right.
And that's it. Like, guns, all that stuff, that's a distraction at this point.
Right.
Healthcare, you look at right now, if you lose the Affordable Care Act, 7 million people get kicked off their insurance during the coronavirus pandemic. That's a disaster. So, that's I know we're getting kind of off the whole topic of record, but that's how I would frame it.
Are
if
we?
I'm him.
This is such a broad topic. Any of these things can get brought up. And as well as I do, the questions that are posed are not always answered with what is actually in the question.
That's true. Trump talked about his penis once, so
yeah.
I'm pretty sure that the moderators didn't bring up what's the size of your dick, so
he lied about that too.
Well, there you go. Yeah, Stormy Daniels, thank you for that very insightful information.
All right, let's go to the next topic. This is one that I think we're going to hammer home as a Patreon exclusive, but I think we should talk a little bit about it right now, and that is the Supreme Court.
Yes. We're going to go in depth in it for our Patreon So if you want to hear especially about Amy Coney Barrett's views on West Virginia and how she thinks it's illegitimate, potentially illegitimate and arguably unconstitutional, subscribe to our Patreon. You'll be able to find that there.
Nice plug. So obviously we know that the Supreme Court, we talked about it, RBG has passed away. The seat is up. He becomes the president who could put 3 people on the bench. And as I said last time, it puts him as one of, if not the most powerful president of all time, because those people are on there for life well after he leaves.
Yeah. I mean, if he gets reelected, you have, is it Breyer, who is in his 80s, a Democrat appointee?
Yeah.
Clarence Thomas, who is in his 70s. You know, realistically, you could see, and Clarence Thomas may retire if Trump gets reelected. So you could see potentially Alito's up there too, possibly 3 more seats open up. Who knows?
You're right. It's a scary situation. And I really do hope that Biden brings up the fact that if you give Trump another 4 years, he could have access to even more seats. I really hope he hammers that home. I don't care if he offends the people on the Supreme Court right now. He has to be realistic here.
Yeah.
You know, nobody is his buddy right now. He has to talk the real talk. He has to mention that there's people on there that are old, that may retire, that may pass away. I mean, you just don't know what's going to happen. And
that's just the Supreme Court. I think a lot of people forget about the entire federal bench. I mean, Trump has appointed, like a quarter of the entire federal bench. Yeah. So that's federal district court and federal circuit courts.
It is insane how much power he's gotten. It will, without a doubt, it will grow. It hasn't stopped in 4 years. Do you really think they're going to be able to slow him down in 5, 6, 7, and 8? Yeah. So if you're Biden, what's your message when you're being asked about the Supreme Court pick? Like, what are you telling people about it? Because, like, I think let's accept the premise, at least for now, that Judge Amy Coney Barrett is going to be confirmed as the next Supreme Court justice. I think that's pretty much going to happen without a doubt, unless some obscene circumstance prevents it. So what's your message if you're Joe Biden? I think he stays on the same message he has. It's unfair to Americans to put somebody up that is going, you could wait. You could literally wait until November 4th and put her up. If he wins, boom, there you go, see ya. No one's going to care. But the fact is that they're trying to rush it. He needs to hammer that home. You can't really vet her in this situation. But let's even, go farther and say she's 100% in. Then he has to control the narrative where it just says, look, you now have a Supreme Court that is controlled by Donald Trump. You can't let a presidency continue to be controlled by Donald Trump. Yeah. I would say I think I would even go further than that. And I had a discussion with somebody on Twitter about this, but I would hammer the healthcare issue again. Yes. Look, it seems simple, but it's something everybody can relate to. It's something that is an immediate threat. And in this situation, you have a challenge to the Affordable Care Act brought by the Trump administration before the Supreme Court. I think it's December 11th, which could invalidate the entire law. So the last time they heard a challenge to it, it was, I think, a 5-4 decision in favor of keeping the law. And Judge Roberts, Chief Justice Roberts, was the vote with the liberals, with the Democratic appointees. Well, now Ruth Bader Ginsburg is not there. You have Justice Amy Coney Barrett, who has said that she is an adherent to Antonin Scalia's interpretation of the law, which would almost certainly kill the Affordable Care Act and, like I said, kick 7 million people off their insurance during a pandemic. So if I'm him, that's my message. It's like it's too much. It's too dangerous. It's too risky. And it's just like pulling the wool over the American people's eyes once again by the Senate Republicans who are going against the public's own opinion on this issue. I'm saying this, but I'm just looking at this as if I was debating this topic and I was trying to reach the people that I wanted to reach. If he's going to mention healthcare, which they're going to talk about it, I think one thing that they didn't do effectively is show how healthcare relates to working people. We talk a lot about the people at the very bottom, right? And we know that that's one of the major issues. But to win this election, you will have to win the people who are right in the middle, the people who have health insurance provided by their employer. But we all know that the Affordable Care Act allowed them to have better access to it. That has to be hammered home, because right now, I can tell you this, in states like West Virginia, when you have people who are talking, I recently actually was talking to a guy on Facebook, I won't say talking, arguing, and the fact is, when they hear Affordable Care Act, they think that it goes to the most impoverished people, the people that they deem lazy is what they deem. It's unfortunate that's what they get deemed, but you've got to kill that, and then you have to win the working vote. You have to.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, some of the most famous provisions of the Affordable Care Act, like preventing insurance companies from denying you based on pre-existing conditions. And
yes,
there's been a lot of discussion that having coronavirus could be a pre-existing condition. So that already gives how many Americans a pre-existing condition? How many million are we at right now? 5 million something, maybe
in total. Yeah, it's large.
Well, I know like over 200,000 have died.
Right.
Which is horrible.
Yeah. I mean, and that you're exactly right. But he needs
7 million.
7 million. He needs to hammer that home. He has to talk about we have not heard about pre-existing conditions enough, because remember when Obama was running, he said that in every sentence. I mean, no matter what he said, and it worked, because everybody, no matter where you are in life, you will one day have a pre-existing condition.
Yeah. Well, think about how many Appalachians have pre-existing conditions.
Yes.
And how many don't have the out-of-pocket money to be able to afford an emergency medical expenditure. So, yeah, like I said, we'll talk a little bit more about Amy Coney Barrett on the Patreon, but I think that kind of, at least for me, that would be my message if I'm Joe Biden. If I'm Donald Trump, I'm not really sure.
Yeah, I'm with you. Okay, so this is one that is going to probably, I think, be the most challenging for both. I think both of them are going to have decent arguments, and that is the economy.
Yeah.
This is where Trump will be strong.
Right. And pandemic hits, they take a dip, but now it's recovering, and if only they were allowed to reopen, or what is it? Is that his argument, that once they reopen, once this vaccine comes out, once they reopen, boom, back to normal, raging economy? What do you think? Do you think that argument resonates with people? Number one, and number two, how does Biden reframe that issue, or what is his argument?
I think it definitely resonates with people. I think people eat that up when he says it, especially obviously those who already support him, but even the people in the middle, because if you look based off the economy itself, it was going well before the pandemic. Now you could make several arguments that that's because the Obama administration set up an economy that could continue to work through a terrible presidency, but that's here nor there. That's an argument Biden could make, is that Donald Trump didn't create this economy. In fact, Barack Obama's presidency did, but he's going to have to show the actual things that Barack did to help the economy get by and to get to where it is now. But you're exactly right. Donald Trump is going to say, if it wasn't for the pandemic, we all would have been rich.
Well, and I think if I'm Joe Biden, I also use that as an opportunity to talk about the mismanagement of the pandemic. Mm-hmm. I mean, the downplaying of the severity of it, the lying to the American people that we found out through the Woodward tapes. Yeah. And just like how there wasn't a coordinated federal response. And that's what really hurt the economy. And I think when you think about it, especially let's relate it back to Appalachia, think of all the service workers and retail workers who have been out of work or have had their hours cut like crazy. I mean, think of a place like Pittsburgh or, or Charleston, West Virginia, or Knoxville, Tennessee, all those places. I mean, Asheville, North Carolina has massive tourism this time of year. because the leaves are changing, and you love driving down the Blue Ridge Parkway. It's beautiful. I did it a couple of years ago. I loved it. That all is impacted by this, and the tourism and hospitality economy is just completely and utterly decimated. And it's not an easy argument to make, because there's going to have to be more belt tightening. There's going to have to be more bad before there's good. But if I'm Biden, I have to show people that it did not need to be this bad, and that whatever the economy was before COVID, his mismanagement of this negates all that.
I mean, I think that's a strong argument. One thing, a tactic that I really hope he's not going to do it, but I wish he would, is he needs in some of these topics to point blank look at Donald Trump and ask him what he's going to do. I think he needs to put the pressure on him, because look, it may be against the rules, but when the hell has Donald Trump followed the rules? Biden needs to look at him and say, all right, Donald, if you're really the guy you say you are, if you really think that you should continue to be president of the United States, tell me how you fix the economy. Tell me what have you done to get here, and where are you going? Tell me your next step, Donald.
Tell me why you didn't wear a mask earlier. Tell me why you didn't encourage wearing masks earlier, because that is proven to be the best way to stop the spread of the virus.
Well, let's go even farther. If we think that this coronavirus isn't as serious and it's kind of a hoax, as he likes to put it, why do people have to get tested before meeting him?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's all a lie. It's all just smoke and mirrors from him.
It's all bullshit, folks. But he's the top bullshitter. I mean, he's president.
And I think that's a good way to kind of relate it back to what Biden's theme should be overall, which is that competent, stable leadership, experience in crisis, and like a careful, steady hand to guide us out of this. Because look, this may have been all fun and games for a while, but we're in the midst of probably the worst and most challenging crisis and crises, multiple ones, that this country has faced in 100 years, not since the Civil Wars. I don't know. There's been other things between now and then, but I think in no other time have we been so halted in this economy and in our lives, and our lives are so dependent on interrelationships and being out in different places and traveling and seeing other people. And it's just been a complete disruption to that. And so we're going to, I think if I'm Biden, I have to hammer that home and say, here's what he did wrong. Here's why we're in this situation, but here's why you need me to get us out of this.
And you mentioned it earlier, the retail workers and the service people who continue to lose jobs or lose their hours, that's significant to Appalachia. If you look at the breakdown of jobs in this region, a lot of them are service industry. That's how it works. If it's sales, to being a server, to working for whoever, AT&T, whatever.
Or all three.
Yeah, probably all three at the same time, because, you have to make enough money to get by. But that is why this is important to Appalachian. I mean, I hope that Biden hammers it home that, states from California to West Virginia are all affected by this, and it's killing people. Not only is this virus itself killing people, but you will have people die because they cannot make money. They cannot get by. Bad things happen with that. We've seen it.
And I think one of the most powerful messages with that too, just kind of put a button on this. And this is actually something that Senator Michael Bennet of Colorado did a really great job of illustrating this when he was talking about flooding in his home state and how Ted Cruz was holding up the federal budget and they weren't able to get emergency relief funding. Anyway, to hammer home the point that I'm relating to here, which is people, their lives have been ruined. They have lost businesses and lost their stable income forever. This is not a temporary thing for a lot of people. This is forever. Their lives are financially ruined forever. Their businesses are gone forever. Their loved ones are gone forever. And there's no way of reversing that. But there is a way to prevent more of it from happening.
There you go, right there. If he says that, game over. I mean, and
I'm available as a communications consultant.
Unfortunately, I don't think Joe Biden is Joe Biden. I don't think he can deliver that message quite as well as a lot of other people.
Flattered.
No, well, I was going to say,
wow! I thought you were going to tee me up for a good compliment there.
And you included, but I was thinking someone like Barack Obama, which that again, he's always gonna be compared to him, but it's hard to follow. So anyway, I'm with you. If he hammers that home and he can do it successfully and look and act the part, boom, it's over. See ya, Donald. You're out of here. But I don't think that's going to happen. I think we're going to have a closer race than that, and I think these debates are going to be close. I don't think it's going to be a blowout one side. I'm going to skip the fifth topic that they came out with because I want to save it for last. So I'm going to jump to the sixth topic that they came out with, and that is the integrity of the election.
It's a shame that it has to be a question.
You're right. Have you noticed what Donald Trump has been doing when it comes to the integrity of the election?
Loaded question. Questioning it?
Well, right. He has taken this guy won an election that literally the election that probably starts this identity crisis of American politics of whether or not we have free and fair elections in the democracy that we have. This is the poster boy for it. And now he's controlling the narrative by saying he doesn't trust the ballots.
Right. Except he voted by mail.
Right. No, I mean, he literally is saying he doesn't trust any ballots. I mean, I'm with you. The whole mail-in thing, he's nuts. But he's going even further now. He is controlling that narrative because, he can flip it because that's the type of guy he is. So you have to combat that.
Yeah. I mean, if you're Biden, you have to raise the issue of this wouldn't be an issue if it weren't for Trump. This wouldn't be, it's never been a problem. But the fact of the matter is that now it is. Now, there have been integrity issues when it comes to hacking. And that's a whole different issue. But for mail-in voting, it's a lot of states do it. It takes a long time sometimes to count the ballots, but it's by no means a foreign system. And the amount of voter fraud is so minuscule that it's barely even registers on a data sheet.
Yeah, but see, that's the thing. I always tell people, anybody that votes should have to take a political science class, just one, just to learn basic things, like the fact that voter fraud is not this major issue that politicians like to play it up to be. It really doesn't occur that much. On the other hand, we're forgetting or we're not mentioning one thing that actually could be the reason that this election has no integrity, and that's the states who are attempting to purge people right before the election. I don't know if you saw just today, Georgia was attempting to purge 14,000 people from being able to vote, and luckily it was stopped by the court. But this is not something that's new. West Virginia purged a bunch of voters whenever I ran. They literally moved lines. they did what they wanted. That's the state governments are always going to continue to try and do what's right for them, and that means for their political party.
Yeah, it's really terrible. It really is. And Tennessee does this all the time. And sadly, it disproportionately impacts people of color, particularly Black people.
Right.
And don't pretend it's not intentional. So,
especially in 2020.
Yep.
If this, I was telling somebody the other day, we have always, at least over the last, 30, 40 years, we have always looked at votes by minority groups, especially Black people. Black people tend to vote Democrat. And if you look 40 and 30 years ago, they showed up not 40 years, 30 years ago, they showed up in droves. They always voted. That's why Democrats won. Democrats kind of forgot how important they are. And I think that that's now coming back. You're going to see more. I think this will break records for minority votes. I really do. Now, it's going to be hard to beat Barack Obama. I know that, but I really think that this is the year that it breaks records.
Certainly could and certainly should. All right, you want to move on to the last topic?
Yep. Speaking of our Black friends, the final topic that they'll be discussing at the presidential debate is race and violence in our cities.
Well, how could this go wrong with two septuagenarian white men?
This is I always think that there's one subject that's put on there for TV ratings. This is it. That's why they know Donald Trump is going to say something nuts.
Yeah, he's going to say some racist shit. No doubt about that. No doubt about that. And Biden might say some racist shit by accident. We don't know.
Well, and look, you got to be as hard on him too. The problem will be, Biden has to be very vocal towards Trump. If he says something racist, immediately call it out. Call him on his fucking bullshit. That's what he has to do. Because if he just lets it simmer because he wants to use it in an ad the next day, it's not going to hit as hard. He needs to throw jabs the whole time. As soon as Donald Trump said something ignorant about what's going on in the world, because he continues to try and deny that he's actually a part of it, Biden has to hit him as hard as he can.
Yeah, and he's got, some credibility on this. I mean,
yeah.
Biden launched his entire campaign. His first video, if you'll remember, it was talking about Charlottesville and how divisive Trump has been as a leader of this country. And I think it does play into Biden's message of wanting to unite the country, not divide them, which is what Trump has done this entire time. It's not an easy subject for him to talk about. I mean, he's definitely not the best messenger on it, but he's the one that can at least do something to mend the country, because we are so divided and there's so much racial tension, I think more so than in recent history. It's probably since the civil rights movement in this country or since Rodney King. And we can't have somebody who's essentially the chief executive of this country just pissing gasoline onto the fire.
Yeah. I mean, this is Biden's moment. I think so. I remember when Barack Obama, he would always have those even in 2008, he'd have those presidential moments where he would say something and you would go, holy shit, that is the next president of the United States. Without a doubt, that's the guy. It gave you goosebumps. That's what Biden has to do here. He has to be able to relate to everyone. There's going to be something that Joe Biden says, and that's his agreement or his promise to make his cabinet look like America. That is his promise. He's going to hammer that home. I guarantee it. And he should. I mean, he said the same thing to Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson when he endorsed him. He said, I'm going to make it look like America. And I think that that's what he's got to hammer home here. Talk about how Donald Trump has continued to ignore minority people when it comes to anything like judicial positions. We all know that he put Big Ben Carson in charge, not only because it was a token move, but the fact is Ben was all over Donald as soon as he got out of the race.
Ben Carson, HUD secretary, yep.
Right. So it's one of those things that it made sense to put him there. But if you look, he's not clamoring to help any minority rise up. He is not clamoring to put a minority in a position of power. He doesn't want to. I think it scares him. In fact, I really do. And I think Joe Biden's got to say things like that and continue to press forward.
Yeah, I think Joe Biden also has to speak to the policing issue too and make his positions clear. And I think he has to be able to convincingly lay out a plan of like, listen, this is what's happened the past 4 years. This is what I'm going to do to actually deliver for Black people, because so many times even Democrats haven't done that. Republicans certainly haven't. So I think that in addition to refuting the president's record, Biden has to be really clear about, here are the steps that we're going to take, both to mend the wounds that have been opened up in this country, but also to help minority groups, especially Black people, advance in society and be able to live and prosper as free individuals who are not still looked down upon in society, which they are right now, and they are not treated as equals.
Yeah, and I hope he says part of what you just said, where I hope he calls out Democrats of the past, and he has to put himself in it, because if you look especially during his time, the big thing was to propose legislation that was supposed to help Black people and Hispanics and everybody else rise up through I don't know what you would call it, the glass ceiling at that point. But it never happened. It was never intended to. It was intended to win elections, unfortunately. He has to call them out on that, and he has to say, look, this is why mine is different. I'm going to do it this way.
Yeah.
It's going to be tough. Obviously, they're both white guys just like us. Like, I think it comes off like, yeah. You know what I mean?
We
can't relate. Like I admit that we can't relate. We're talking out our asses trying to assume different things. But if he can convince people that he really is the guy, then maybe he can start to relate.
Well, and I mean, he's got to be able to convince people that he's going to listen to and appoint the right people that are going to help him accomplish his goals.
Exactly. Sorry. That's all the topics.
That's it. Well, I will be very interested to see how this debate goes. I'm sure everybody else listening to this will. So we hope that served as a good primer. And
what's your prediction?
Oh, I don't think there's ever winners or losers, but
right. But what do you think comes from this?
I think Biden gets some good headlines because he comes out prepared. I think Trump does some dumb shit that probably makes him look foolish. But I don't know. I don't know. I'm not sure like if it moves the needle or not, but I think it will at least set the barometer for the next time that they have a debate, which I think is in October.
Yeah, I think in terms of prediction-wise, this is a make it or break it moment for Biden. He's got to prove that he can be presidential. If he does, I think it gives him a little bit of a tick upwards, but I don't think it's going to be that much. I think Donald Trump continues the same narrative that he's been on and continues to have his extremist group of people bring even closer. That's what, that's his goal anyway. It's going to be exactly what we've already seen. And hopefully, for Biden's sake, it at least remains in the same point it is now.
Truth. Do you have a beef this week?
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's the main segment. Let's cruise right on into beef with Big John.
All right, Chuck, I'm going to make this quick and simple. It's going to be one of those things that everybody's talking about. Donald Trump's tax returns, but I'm not talking about the tax returns. I'm talking about the idiots that are standing behind them. This is one of those moments. You know the meme where the guy's where he's putting on like the Joker makeup?
Yeah.
That's what these people are. They're arguing that billionaires shouldn't have to pay this money because they can relate so much. They're arguing that Donald Trump didn't do anything illegal because they have to continue to protect him. They are putting themselves out.
They're job creators. They're so busy creating jobs.
Yeah, exactly. This whole but it'll trickle down. Okay. That's been proven that's not true. But
the only thing that trickles down is the piss on Donald Trump's pants legs as he's pulling them back up after making his golden shower video.
Anyway, the fact is people are putting their own reputations on the line to protect a man that they've never met. This is one of the instances where you kind of find out who you see the true colors of people, especially because they continue to to protect him like he's this saint. No matter what comes out, they continue to step in front of him. It's like there's a firing line and everybody ensures that Donald Trump doesn't get hit. That is part of the problem when it comes to American politics, is that we've become so party narrative that we don't care anymore. It's become almost a power like Bengals versus Steelers. You have to root for your team. The fact is they can't see that Donald Trump is a bad guy and doing things that he shouldn't be doing. They don't care about the facts anymore. They've become almost like a cult. They are going to protect their leader at all costs, and it's going to kill their reputation.
Cults are real, man. And they're
100%.
scary.
It's one of those things that's going to, I'm telling you, it'll continue to get worse. And hopefully everything goes right in 2020, which hasn't happened at all yet. But we're at a point now that maybe this will get the curse off of people and they'll wake up and finally realize that they've been duped the last 4 years.
Fingers crossed, man. We can only hope.
Yep.
Well, with that, we'll wrap it up. John, we got through the video. And if this doesn't work out when we process the video, then we'll cut that part. Got through it. Follow us on all the social media and check out our Patreon. And as always, you can shoot us an email at appodlatch@gmail.com and check out our website, appodlatch.com. We'll be back next week with something for the show.